working overtime versus working on weekend?
None.
Good answer. Read a book.
I really believe that actually, if the work is properly organized, there is no need to work overtime. I mean, there are some exceptions that are okay, but in general, that is not the role in my management style. Also for me personally.
And for your team, that's good for your team.
Yeah, it is.
Read a book or listen to the podcast.
Read a book still.
And what's your favorite book? I know
this is a difficult question. Let's stick to the business related content. Let's say the one that I'm recommending, even if I'm avoiding to recommend the books, is the No Rules, the book about Netflix and their culture.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you read it, but it's very, very inspirational one for the, let's say, new way of leadership.
Actually, I don't think I read that one, but I read the second one.
Or some of the guidances that actually were...
Yes.
Yeah, that was actually, that came out first a couple of years ago, and now they actually wrote a book, and you should read it.
I will. I'm a big reader, so...
Yeah, it's a good one.
Thank you for recommendation. What is the most important personal trait in business, but just one word?
Integrity.
Explain.
You said one word.
Well, I got one word, but...
Well, I believe that it's a thin border between the business and the personal life and personal values and what you are as a business person, because that's more or less what is occupying most of your time, and also what is building you as a person. So for me personally, the personal value is integrity, and then in business, I have seen many people that were not having integrity, and how fluid is the career of those people, and actually how you can deviate from what you are aiming to do if you're not having integrity. And for me personally, that is something that I cannot live without, because still you need to see yourself in the mirror every day, every morning, every evening, and no matter what is the price, integrity is not the one that will be sacrificed.
What's your biggest regret?
For not being able to go for the architecture university, which I was aiming for, and this is what I'm always, let's say, repeating in my speeches to my teams, since somehow that is something that I'm still regretting, and something that I will probably do in certain period of my life. I will be the guy that is like 50 years old, going there with the kids.
That's cool. How would you like to be remembered?
As a guy who built something.
When did you last change your mind about something important?
Something important, okay. I'm talking with myself and to myself very, very often. So I'm not sure if it is changing my mind, but when I'm thinking about politics, when I'm thinking about the business, when I'm thinking about the future, when I'm thinking about how to grow up my kid, etc., I'm challenging my current views and then changing opinions. But I'm not sure if I would now be able to tell you something and to remember something where I changed dramatically my opinion about something. I'm quite stubborn actually, so that's what my wife will tell you.
You're from Balkans.
Yeah. I'm claiming that I'm open for the different opinions, but somehow I'm always pulling the arguments to defend my opinion, and then people give up.
This is Chair, place where we discuss innovations, and today we are going to talk about, can giants be innovators? Right? So probably the most critical question for telcos that should ask themselves in this age is to how to perceive change. To share his dream and talk about digitalization of telco, our guest today is Mladen Mitic, board member at Slovak Telekom and T-Mobile. Welcome to Chair.
Thanks a lot. Nice to be here.
Even though it can sound a bit counterintuitive, telcos are in core technological companies, but since they are so big, they are working like very traditionally, right? Can you innovate in such environment?
Yes, you can. The other question is how you can do it. So you want me to elaborate a bit on that?
Of course.
Yeah, I believe, and this is of course my opinion. We are still quite, let's say, digital. We are quite innovative. We are born like that. And then depending on how do you set the benchmark. If we are benchmarking ourselves with the other industries, we are still, I believe, in the upper end of the innovations and of the digitalization. But when it comes to what we can be and what we should be as a leader of that train, we are not there. And then the question is how. And I believe that we would need to change the operating model, and we would need to change the way how we are thinking before we get there.
And what is about your thinking that you need to change?
So first of all is that the mindset needs to be changed, because in the, let's call it, fat industry, where you are still living with the 40% EBITDA margins, it's hard to actually have a sense of urgency.
Right?
It is. It's hard to actually have a sense of urgency and create some kind of burning platform for innovations, because we are living nice from what we are doing today, and that is the big challenge. The second thing is about the people that are currently in telco, because we are also becoming a little bit of the dinosaurs. We are old companies. We are there for 30, 40 years in some places.
There's that perception there about it.
But it's not only perception. Yeah. It's also reality. It's also reality. So we also lost a little bit the pace with some of the new software companies when it comes to attracting the new talents. But on the other side, the way how we are measuring ourselves, what we are pushing as the main KPIs, and also the length of the let's call it tenure of the C-level positions is somehow dictating that you are going for the short to mid-term goals. And then that is somehow in contradiction with innovations, because innovations are not coming very fast. You need to spend some time in something, believe in something, put a little bit of the faith, put a little bit of the money, put a little bit of the focus before you see the results. And in telco, if something is not seen next quarter or next half of the year, it's very difficult.
You mentioned earlier, you have those good margins and that it's a comfort zone. And that there is a saying about people, actually. It's give a man enough food, sex, and he will die.
And rock and roll.
And rock and roll, and he will die. So it's probably similar for the companies as well, right?
I mean, it is, but I'm listening to stories about telcos dying for last maybe 10 years. So when
but you're still
but we are still there. We are still very relevant. We are still very important. So we are still adopting. I mean, I shouldn't be very critical toward my industry, because this is my industry. I love it.
Yeah.
But those stories are there for a long period of time. But we are providing something that is important for the society, and this is probably the main reason why we are still there, because it's super important, and it somehow the whole period of Corona also redefined our purpose. So now people understand that it is important what telcos are offering.
Yeah, of course. And what drives you to innovate? What drives innovation?
Well, if you ask me as a person or us as an industry, I believe the answers are different. So us as an industry need to innovate in order to stay on the current level of margins, to stay relevant for our customers, because also the outside market is changing, customer demands are changing. Me as a person, it's about personal values. I need to create something need to be new, something need to be fresh, and this is what I'm as a person about. So this is my personal drive. But as an industry, we need to innovate, not to become a beat pipe, which is our destiny that is written 10-15 years ago, but we are still somehow fighting against it.
You mentioned earlier regarding attracting good talent, and is it hard to get innovative people to join in leadership roles when you are perceived as dinosaur?
Well, innovative people is a big question mark. What does it mean? So I understand your question. So if we are about to attract the proper talents to create that kind of culture and mindset, it is. In different markets, it's different, because in some markets, telcos are still on the top of the preferred employers and wanted employers. In some markets, we are moving to the bottom. For example, Denmark is the case where it was very hard to attract talents, because the startup environment is super developed. It's super hard to get smart and attractive people. In Norway, telcos are, let's say, in the middle. In Serbia, I believe that we were at the top once I left. I'm not sure what is the situation today, but I guess they are still very, very attractive employer. In Slovakia, it's also quite attractive industry, so it depends. but it is becoming harder and harder because not only that local market is the market, because everything now
Especially
becomes
now,
global.
yeah.
Everything becomes global, so let's say some kind of scarce resources that are important for everyone who would like to do something innovative, something digital, is becoming harder and harder.
And how do you scale culture? You just mentioned that you attract a good talent and you create innovative people from them. But how you scale an innovative culture inside the company that is biggest telco?
Yeah, it's a kind of a science almost. It's not an easy answer on that question because it goes on different levels. First, you need to have the leadership and management that is actually walking the talk and then actually being able to really do what they are actually aiming to do and what they are saying that they will do. Then you need to have people that are able to adopt to change and to somehow fit to that kind of culture. And then you need to somehow change your way of work, your processes, your operating model in order to still remain attractive for that kind of culture and not to be in a mismatch. And the book that I recommend to you is actually also talking about that, how to create some kind of environment that would somehow still attract people and engage them with the company. Because bigger the company, it's more difficult to build the culture.
Because you have entrenched something and it's harder.
Yep.
It's always when you're talking about the huge systems and culture, there is always that talk about agile and how you stay agile in such a...
First, we need to become agile. Before we are able to stay. Yeah. So we in Slovak Telekom, T-Mobile Czech Republic, since we are two companies with one board, so that's why I'm mentioning those two together. We are just moving and we are on that path. We are actually going agile. So we have just established the, let's say, first teams that are working agile. First tribes are being launched. I mean, not first. We are already, let's say, 70% there. So we are establishing the routines, the processes, the ceremonies, the whole setup around it. Also, we are trying to change the mindset of people, to somehow enforce the collaboration. Important thing is we are now removing the walls between, not the physical walls, also physical walls will be removed, but the walls between the, let's say, IT and business, which is usually exactly working in silos, but also trying to avoid not to create a new silos. Because that is one of the pitfalls of agile, that you can easily create a new silo, and then
it happens all the time.
Exactly, and then you are in a similar problem just with a different name. So we are going there, and then how we will stay. I believe that success is the biggest contributor to actually enforcing something and to actually keeping something alive. So in Denmark, for example, when we did the whole transformation, it was a lot of skepticism until we got to some successes and then showed to the organization that, hey, this is really working. And then, somehow it was living. I have heard that recently they have actually shifted back from agile to the line organization, but that's another story. But I believe that really like success is and showing people the benefit of it would make it. But let's see.
But why they do it? Why they move to old paradigm?
I don't know. I'm not there for last period of time. I know that there was a lot of shifting of the management. And you know how it goes in the big corporations. There are waves or sinusoids, or I'm not sure how to call it. There is one leader coming, there is one paradigm for next 2 to 3 years. Then the new guy is coming, and then everything that was before was crap. Now let's go to something else. And then in the big corporations you have 3 or 4 models, and then you just take from the drawer the next one that you believe is the good one.
You just mentioned it regarding the leadership and how it's important in terms of culture to scale it down from the top, right? And I would ask you from your perspective and from your vast experience, what would you say that's your, let's say, favorite leadership style, and what do you think that is most important there where you need to create change?
So no micromanagement, no control, but system, rather establishing the system. So we establish the system, how we will work together. And then once we are there is no need for the micromanagement and the control. But in order to make it happen, you need to have people that are able to actually accept responsibility and accountability. And that's a simple recipe, which is not simple to introduce and to implement.
Yeah, it sounds simple, but usually there is politics there, right? It happens to establish something that...
In my microenvironment, I'm trying to, somehow completely delete and erase all the politics and somehow enforce people to understand that collaboration and working together and being honest with each other is the only way to succeed. And that requires a lot of things as a prerequisites, but that is my strong belief, because without that, I wouldn't be able to work with that team. So then it's like, I'm staying there if I have enough power to be able to actually establish that kind of environment. If not, then that's not place for me. But if I'm there, if I'm able to do that, then all the people in the team and the teams below will need to, work with the other people, understand that they will succeed only together, and that they will need to accept that, they are responsible for something, and then there is no one else. They are responsible for something. Then you are able to, this is not the short process. It takes
time and energy.
It takes time and energy, but once you get there, then you get some kind of, what I like to say, self-oiled machine. Then people are happy, they understand the purpose, their purpose in the organization, what they're about to do, and also, there is no need for politics. But then again, when the next change comes, then people take politics as a way how to, somehow excel and accelerate. Some of the people, not all. But that is what corporation is about. And I said to myself a long time ago, this is not the place for you because I'm not able to play politics. I hate it.
But you're still there.
I hate it, but I'm still there. So I'm somehow always saying to people, I'm a proof that it is possible even without politics. If you know what you're about to do, if you are determined to do it, and if you have enough energy and skills to do it, then you can do it even without politics.
Or maybe just as part of the perspective, maybe when you go to retirement, maybe you can try with politics.
Well, if the politics will change like the corporations are changing, because corporations
we can only hope, right?
Yeah, but corporations were at some place 20, 30 years ago. When I started, it was very formal, it was very hierarchical, it was very like the army. Now the corporations are understanding that, people need to get some kind of power, and people are the ones who are actually making successful or non-successful corporation. Once the politics understand that people need to have some power, and that people are the one who are determining if someone will be successful or not, but there is still a process to get there. I'm still optimist, and maybe it's utopia, but I believe it will come. So in that kind of political environment, I would be super willing to, contribute with something if I can to my country or to my city.
With this, we are going to realm of trying to resolve some biggest issue of the world today, but why not?
Why not? You need to be crazy enough.
Exactly.
Because crazy things can happen if you believe in them.
To go back to telcos and digitalization, and that's why we're here today, and let's go from challenges. It's best way how to explain something. What are the biggest ones in terms of digitalization?
Mindset, first one. Second one, legacy. Also legacy in mindset is the first one. Legacy in the IT systems, and legacy of the top management of the telcos. So I would say 3 legacies. And
which one is the hardest to shift and conquer?
Mindset is always the hardest to shift, because people always say that they are willing to change it, but somehow it's hard to change people that are well established in some age. But also changing IT systems and legacy in IT is not easy. It's not easy. Also connected with the way how corporations are working. If you're about to swap something, it takes time, it takes money, it takes some kind of belief. And then if you are measured on a short term, not on a long term, then it's getting even more difficult. So everything is difficult. The only question is what is addressable, what is not addressable.
Yeah. And even though it's difficult, if you looking at this as a challenge and you can win it, it's not that difficult anymore, right? It's all about the mindset at the end.
Sometimes I'm getting the feedback that I simplify and oversimplify the things, and that I'm a huge believer that things can be done. So I really believe that this is not difficult. This is really not difficult. You just need to, be smart in the way how you're doing it, and also you need to have enough energy to do it. And also you need to have some belief and some trust from your bank or from your, let's say, headquarter finance teams. That will give us something that is more sustainable, because now we are reaching the moment when we need to think about where we are at 2030, where we are at 2040, how sustainable our business model is, because we are resistant still to the changes and to the challengers, but it is getting more and more tight. So we would need to change our operating model.
And while you're talking about that timeline, how to pivot from providing communication services to something completely different?
It's not really different. It's about satisfying customer needs and giving them what they want.
Okay.
Because if you start from the customer and what they are looking for, it's just about you providing the services to them. Will services be A, B, C, or D? it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, we cannot now start selling. I mean, maybe we can, but selling milk and bread probably would be a little bit weird. But still, we can offer a wide range of different technological services that are connected with our core services, and then we will still be seen as relevant from our customers. So I really believe that from moving from we have a product and then we are looking for the market to we have a market, because we have a market, we have our customers, we have the huge customer bases, and let's see what we will offer to them is a change of the paradigm that telcos need to do. And this is currently the process that most of the telcos are going from. Like, they're all talking about customer centricity, customer experience. Some of them understand what does it mean, some of them don't. But still, there is a big change, I believe, that is coming, and a big wave that is coming to telcos that will actually change a little bit the way how we are thinking about the business.
And on that side of users and customers, you're gathering amounts of data, huge amounts of data of them. Are you leveraging them in a good way? And because obviously you're in competition with giants that are basically became information companies. Even Tesla became information company, right?
Yep.
It's not a car manufacturer. So how well you're leveraging the data that you have?
So again, the answer depends on what your benchmark is. So if the benchmark is the, let's say, average industry out of all the industries in the market, we are excellent. If the benchmark is what the good data-driven companies are doing, we are maybe decent or solid. We are not very good, but we are solid. Do we have a capability to be the leader and excellent? Yes, we do. And you mentioned Tesla. For example, when I was in Norway, actually we were building, as Telenor Norway, we were building the data set for Tesla. We were giving them the access. We were actually manipulating data. We were building the data platform, how they will utilize the data that they are getting from their cars. So we have a lot of capabilities, skills, and knowledge and know-how. But are we fully there? We are not fully there.
What needs to happen to be there fully?
Well, it's a little bit different business model also. You need to believe in something else than what we believe at. It's not very transactional, like what we are today.
Yeah.
We are actually selling subscription services. Selling data as a subscription is not super easy, because you need to find some kind of use cases that are massive. Because for telco, scale matters. We are a giant company, so for us scale matters. If you will target, some niche of couple of thousands, this is not a big enough project for us. For Tesla, it's a couple of thousand cars. It's not more than that. So then, they are living from that. We need to find a scale, and then the question is, where do we place ourselves in that value chain? Are we collecting the data for them? Are we manipulating with the data? Are we actually doing some kind of data modeling? Are we building the services that we will sell at the end? Or, that is a big question that telcos are still looking for an answer. But
you're in a position to be anywhere in that chain, right?
We are, but again, you cannot really go everywhere. You need to get some focus in order to have a scale, and that is, I believe, the big challenge for telcos, and manipulating with the data more, but also the whole advertising possibilities and opportunities.
Yeah.
How we can utilize our data to be at the right place for the customer, with the different offers, with the partner offers also. This is what we are exploring a lot, and I believe that the best out of telco will still come in that area.
We'll finish with the future of the telco for sure, and that's where I'm going. But before we come to that, we cannot talk about innovations in telco without mentioning and talking about 5G and 6G technologies. They're coming right now. What are the biggest challenges in implementing those?
Monetization and the return of investment. It is expensive technology.
Isn't it always a bit infrastructure like that?
It is, but still, shift from 1G to 2G is something. 2G to 3G is something. 3G to 4G, almost revolution. 4G to 5G, we are still speaking about something very good to something even better. 5G to 6G will be, again, use cases are getting more and more niche, because the low latency and something that is happening in the real time, some kind of massive data transfers. There is not many use cases today that are requiring that kind of technology. So we as telcos need to invest a lot of money in it, and then the return is very questionable, because if I will tell you as a customer now, since you are not having 4G, you are having 5G, I will charge you 30% more. it's a little bit tricky. So we need to really find relevant use cases for customers, and this is the big challenge currently. How to establish and how to position those use cases as relevant for customers. How them to understand that, hey,
can you use data for that? Current?
You can, and we do, but still, it's a bit, like when you're moving from 500 megabytes to 1 gigabyte fixed internet. I need to be very relevant for why would you pay for more. And on the other side, it's not only about end customer paying for it. It's also about us being able to somehow, build a different model for it. But I really believe in the new technologies, in the new speeds. That speed is important. Once customer feels it, then they somehow got addicted. But still
it's about use case, right? Just as you said.
Yeah.
What's the future of Telco? Let's get philosophical.
Future is bright. Future is bright. We are talking about.
I say that you're the guy whose glass is always half full, right?
It is. But I believe in my industry, and it's still my industry. I'm not sure. When we were preparing for this call, I told you that in 2019 I was thinking about leaving Telco after almost 20 years, and then going to some other industry. And then somehow the guys from the headquarters of Deutsche Telekom hooked me with the story, and with their pitch. I still believe that Telco can really transform, because we also need transformation. That we can digitalize ourselves even more and even faster, and that we can reestablish our purpose. Our purpose is super valid and super important for the society. If we are able to actually build a future digital telco, the way how I imagine it, that will be much more open for the partners, where we can innovate much more through the partners and connect easier and bundle with our core services. I believe that telco will be again reborn as a super attractive industry for
Can you give me a bit more share of that, your vision of what will be? Well, especially with
today, if you're about to sell some third-party services, and we already discussed a little bit innovation organically or through the partners, I believe that since we became corporations, it's much easier that we innovate through the partners, because doing things internally requires much more efforts, and it's not very successful. At least we have tried to build new Netflix, new WhatsApp, whatever you can imagine, and somehow you need a global scale for that. And we are still local players. Still, Deutsche Telekom is not, but still telcos are local players. So we need to innovate, I believe, through the partners. And then if you're about to innovate through the partners, you need to have very open architecture to be able to offer the products and services that are for the customers, something that they will see as something seamless and something that they can use without any kind of problems. How to buy it, how to onboard, how to use it, how to get support. And today, if we are innovating with the partners, it gets a little bit difficult, because it requires a lot of time, and then you cannot put a lot of bets. You can put 1 or 2 bets in a year.
Yeah.
You will maybe fail. Probably you will fail, and then somehow it is killing the whole energy and the spirit in the teams. Once we are able to build architecture that is very open, where we can innovate and launch services on a weekly basis and test and learn what works, what doesn't work, and then be smarter, utilizing the data that we can get out of it, I believe that we will create a whole new wave of innovations coming from telco, and possibilities and combinations that will actually, as I said, reborn this industry.
Mladen, thank you so much for this. I enjoyed it.
We're already done?
Yeah, we did.
Good. Thanks a lot for inviting me. And I was feeling really nice talking to you. So thanks a lot, guys.
And for you out there, next Thursday, next innovation talk, and subscribe.